If your business feels harder than it should, you're likely ignoring one principle that changes everything, and that is minimum effective dose. Now, don't make this harder than it has to be. I recorded this video on the premise of one take, minimal editing, just notes and execution. Why? Because that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, or what I'm going to talk about today. And most people, I believe, are overcomplicating their business, especially in network marketing. And it's costing them more than they realize. Now, the lie about hard work, and let's be real for a second, is starting and building a network marketing business is hard work. And people out there would tell you that it's a set it and forget it kind of thing. They tell you everything that you want to hear, or they think you want to hear, but there's no way around that. It is hard work. And in the beginning, you have to grind. There is a grind period. What I call a grind period is where you're just really kind of burning the candle on both ends. And in this case, setting up your system, learning the back office or whatever it is. But there's got to be a point where that tapers off. And you have to, in this process of building your network marketing business, you have to learn to test, fail, and keep showing up. And those are hard things. People don't want to fail. They don't want to take the time to test. And people want instant gratification. And there's no way around that. These are things that have got to be done in your business. But here's where most people get it wrong. They never stop grinding. They continue to grind a year in, a year out, or however long they can muscle it out with nothing to show for it. And they burn out and in most cases end up quitting. And they stay stuck in this loop of doing more, trying more, adding more, tweaking more, changing this, changing that. And eventually they do burn out. And not because that business doesn't work, but because their approach it doesn't work. Now, the real problem is too much effort and not enough progress. One of the biggest mistakes that I see is this: people work way too hard, for way too long, with little to no results. And the combination is dangerous because effort without progress kills belief. Now, if people were seeing even a small, consistent win, I believe more people would stick with their business. But the problem is that people don't see any win, and they're putting out this exorbitant amount of energy. But if people felt like they were moving forward, even just a little bit, I believe that most of them would stick with it a little bit longer to see how much more progress they could make. People want to win. And so even small wins are very valuable and meaningful. And if they had small wins, I believe they would figure it out. What we're talking about here is minimum effective dose and what it actually means. This phrase gets thrown around a lot, and honestly, it's misunderstood in my opinion. Excuse me, minimum effective dose does not mean being lazy. It doesn't mean cutting corners, and it definitely does not mean putting out low quality work. But what it means is this: doing the least amount of work required to produce a meaningful result. Let me read that again. Doing the least amount of work required to produce a meaningful result. So I figured I needed to come up with some kind of a working definition, and that's what I came up with. And that's it. Just doing the least amount of work or putting out the least amount of energy to produce a meaningful result. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not over polished work. It's not endlessly optimized work. It's just effective work. Now, you have to get used to good enough. And if you're a perfectionist, it's never good enough. And so when you take this mindset or this strategy of least effective or minimum effective dose, you have to embrace and be okay with things being good enough. And here's how I look at it. You build a good enough version first, then you improve as you go, not before. And too many people spend hours, days, even weeks trying to perfect something that hasn't even been tested yet. And the truth is, a lot of those improvements don't actually make a difference. They just feel productive. And when we're busy, we're doing something, We feel that we've made progress, but we haven't pushed the needle forward in our business. So where real improvement comes from is that most valuable feedback that you'll ever get is not on your own. It's not what you think. It's not your overthinking, and it's not your endless tweaking. It's your audience. That is the where your improvement's going to come from. That is the priceless information that you can't buy from anybody. Is what your clients are going to share with you in ways of things that don't work or how you can improve certain aspects of your product or process. And people actually interacting with your content and your product, they're the ones putting in the test. They're the ones test driving your material. And they're the ones showing you what works and what doesn't. And you want to double down on what's working and not worry about the things that aren't. And if you ever put anything out there and you never get that feedback, and if you never get that feedback, you never improve. Now, urgency creates momentum. There's something powerful about doing things in one take, not because it's perfect, but because it's done, and you can move on to the next thing. Urgency creates action, and action creates momentum. And on the flip side of that, overthinking slows you down. Delaying kills your momentum. And in a lot of cases, it kills the idea entirely. I mean, let me ask you, how many times have you worked on something, tweaked it, adjusted it, changed it, tried to make it just right, only for it to sit there on the virtual shelf and never see the light of day? And that's not strategy, that's a stall. Now, there's a simpler way to build, and the way you do that is, instead of asking, how can I make this perfect? You start asking this question: what is the minimum I need to do to make this effective? And that's a hard transition to make. And I'm speaking from experience, because as I'm building this business out and I'm sharing with you this entire process and I'm holding nothing back, I have to stop myself a lot of times and ask myself, is this really helping me get this product or this content out there? And so I have to ask myself, what is the minimum I need to do to make this effective, to make this work? And that shift alone changes everything, because you start moving faster, you start learning faster, you start seeing results faster, and most importantly, you make the process sustainable. And because this business isn't about short bursts of effort, it's about consistency over time. It's the marathon, it's the long run. And so it's really important that you keep this momentum going. Now, the takeaway is that if you feel overwhelmed, stuck, or burned out, there's a good chance you're doing too much of the wrong things. So sit back, strip it back, your process, what you're doing, and simplify it. Think about it. Think about your steps that you're taking. Ask yourself, are they really necessary? Ask yourself the overarching question: what is it going to take? What is the minimal effort necessary to get a result? And so we build on results. We build on, we start stacking our successes, and you got to get it out there and get started somewhere. So give yourself permission to be good enough. Give yourself permission to fail. I mean, what's the worst thing? If you fail, or a part of something you create fails, you go out and fix it and make it better. So that is how things get perfected. That's how we build great products. That's how we help people, because progress beats perfection every single time. Now, here's one thing I want to share with you or ask you to do. If you've got any, if this video has helped you out in any way, write down in the comments one thing that you've been overthinking, one thing that's you've been doing, or a habit you have that maybe has been holding you back, and one thing that you're going to do to overcome that habit of overthinking, or that process that you take too long on. Or write down in the comments what you're going to do to get that product that you've been working on for so long out there, that content to share with people to build your network marketing business. So I appreciate you sitting through this video to this point. I'll see you in the next one.